Hassan, audio.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all for the webinar today. Am I audible? Hassan, am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. So we Numerical Analytics Instruments Private Limited hosting this webinar jointly with Texas Instruments, and I'm Revati. I'm working as a sales manager for Numerical, and I have my colleague Hassan, technical support executive. And we have two speakers with us, Mr. John. Mr. John is my math IB educator, and he's very familiar for his webinars and workshops, especially with this group. And we have Mr. Jalaj. Jalaj is also an IB and IGCSE math teacher. He's also TO instructor. And he's an examiner for Mathematics HL Paper 1 and IA moderator for HL Math. Okay, so the topic today, what's special today and why we have planned for this topic is many educators are much convinced with TI inspired technology and they wanted to introduce TI to their students. And we got feedback from teachers saying that TI is a very good teaching tool and having many good features, but still there are some questions raised by the educators that whether TI Inspire CX2 is user friendly for students, especially for SL level, and they wanted to we have taken this feedback from teachers, and our speakers are going to address this queries. We have three topics: why completely shift to TI technology, and exploring HL Math Paper 3, and comparison with the other graphing calculators. This is the three topic that we are planning to address. Over to Mr. John.
Thank you. Am I audible to everyone? Everyone can hear me. Everyone can see me.
Audible,
That's good.
audible.
Yeah. See, Jalaj has got a cool photograph. Okay, I don't have such a great photograph. Okay, so then I had to keep my video on. So that that the person that you're hearing is. Yeah, I mean, but I need a photograph like that, Jalaj. I really need something like that, so that even if I have to hide my face, there's something nice that stands out. But
Sure.
But Very, very, very warm welcome to all of you. There are some familiar names that I see again and again. So hello to all names that I see. I see Tamil Selvi A, that's a familiar name there. Just running through. I always see Mr. Ranganathan, and it's always nice to see him there because, it gives me a feeling that, there's someone that I know there is there. Purnima is, I don't know, this is the first workshop, the webinar that she's attending. So, yeah, and Jimmy's here. I see some familiar names. So, yeah, great to see you all. Like Revati just mentioned, the webinar, we just, I think the last couple of webinars that we've been talking to users who were having questions about TI, about migrating to TI, and why, if they had any questions, any hesitation for that matter, we're trying our best to explain. So here's something. If I say something, these are opinions expressed by us, but these are informed opinions. Opinions that have come from experience, all right? So we'll do our best to answer all your questions. And if there's something that remains unanswered, don't be very angry with us. We'll get back to you. Definitely we'll get back to you. So it's not that we're going to ignore, all right? So having said that, I just thought I will start it off by asking you to put on the chat. I was thinking I'll do an opinion poll, but if you guys, if all of you can put on the chat, what calculator are you using currently? I know most of you are using Casio, but I could see one or two with TI. But here's the thing. If you're using Casio, just say Casio, comma, one reason. Give me one reason that tells you I'm using Casio, okay? It should come from the heart. Your conviction, why? What is the thing that you are compelled that, this is why I'm using the Casio calculator. Go for it. Please write it on the chat and share it with everyone. I'll give us a couple of minutes. Is anyone writing? Both Casio and TI, because most of the schools in Mumbai use it. Okay? Okay? And then user-friendly soft piece. So Neelam, I'm understanding that you're using Casio. Is that what you meant? Greta says Nspire. Yeah, Greta, you should say why also, okay? Don't say that's because my school said so. That's why I said it should come from the heart. And while you're writing all these things, here's something that I want you all to understand. We are teachers, we are educators. At some point, we need to keep in mind that we are influencers. What we say has value. Often I hear this, sometimes even I felt that way, okay? But I think we need to understand that when, as a teacher, I'm an influencer. What I say has value in my class. And I'm not just going to say something because, like I said, it's going to be an informed choice coming from my experience. Because very often when I travel to different schools, sometimes I hear this kind of feedback that, oh, I like these features. I am familiar with this thing. I prefer this thing, but there is someone in my school, but there is my HOD would say something like that. So always understand that, yes, I'm not saying that you should go up above and, something like that, but always keep in mind, I'm a teacher. I do have an influence. I do have a say, but it can come from, not disrespectfully, but it can come from a perspective of an informed opinion. And I think that's how I want to set the tone today, rather than having everything that is, coming from me. I'd like to have it as always as interactive as possible. Adi says that Casio, because it's very simple to use and followed from beginning, so we are continuing the same. Fantastic. Adi, did you tell us where you're from? Adi, can you just put it on the chat? Meanwhile, I will share my screen, what I have planned for us in our discussion, and we can move on from there based on what we said. So that was something that I had prepared as a very, very basic outline. Here's the thing. That was a topic, by the way, making things simple, But here's the agenda. I have read a few of the comments, and some of you, didn't want to write, but that's your call. It's okay. I think there's one more comment that's come here on the chat. Let me quickly see what it is. Tamil says CG50. Okay, cool. I appreciate. Thank you so much for all those you written. Here's the thing I wanted to know. I was researching this today. Worldwide, the statistic is almost 80% worldwide. Okay, all our reasons are valid. All our reasons, again, it's our preferences. Everything is valid. But I want us to seriously, honestly, keep this thing, this statistic, and I'll give you that thing where I picked it up from. Actually, I have all those websites open there. Why is it that worldwide, 80% of the schools are preferring TI technology? A very good question to ask. At the same time, I must say that the most popular model of TI is the TI 84. Okay, that's probably the most popular. In India, Revati tells me the statistic is more like 60%. All right. So obviously, okay, we think differently. So 60% of schools and educators in India are using TI. But I thought it's a very important statistic for us to think about. What is the reason? What is it? Why is that? What do they know? Now we are talking of a level playing field. We're thinking about, a school that is offering IB education in India, in whichever part of India that be. It's the same curriculum that, someone sitting in Europe is also going through. So why is it somewhere else that someone is thinking differently? Is there something he or she thinks differently, knows differently, does differently? What are the reasons? So I thought I'll just break it down. And I said, okay, you know what? Perhaps some of our participants here today, all are welcome. Some of our participants today are not aware of some things. Perhaps. Second, perhaps they are aware of all the features. They are aware of everything. They come for all our webinars, and Revati makes sure that she sends them a newsletter, and Hassan makes sure that he's calling them and saying, hey, there's a new thing. So they are aware of, but there are other reasons to consider. That's the only logical way I have decided. Okay, that's how I'll break the agenda. So 2 things. Okay, I'm more interested in that statistic. I'm more interested to say that, okay, you know what? Why is it that some of our participants then, either because they're not aware of certain things or because there are other reasons to consider, and we will look at both cases. The first thing I will have Jalaj take care of that thing, and I've called it striking features. Okay, just because of case we're talking from a TI perspective, it is a webinar hosted by Numerical Analytics, and so of course we'd like to see what are some of those features that stand out. So over to you, Jalaj, and you can continue from there.
Thanks, John. Thank you everyone for joining, and welcome everyone for this another sharing session. I would like to call it a sharing session, and we are sharing what we found was very effective in the classroom. What we found was a good accelerator for the learning. So this is another sharing session organized by Numerical Analytics. Thank you so much. My name is Jalaj, and with me is my versatile colleague, John. You all know him well.
You need to turn on your video. You need to also turn on your video sometimes, okay? That is going to be my...
Actually, I think you can hear there is a sound, background sound. It has been raining heavily out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hear that
okay,
thunder? Yeah, so
last time I saw lightning. Remember I told you, was it lightning? I asked
today
you.
it's not lightning, but thunder is there. So probably if I turn on my video, my bandwidth, I have to compromise on that. So if it stops, I'll definitely turn it on. Okay, so welcome once again. Welcome everyone. So most of you must be busy marking exam papers now, IBDP exam papers. This year, not in all the regions, but in some of the regions, they have had exams. I've been marking MAA paper 1 these days. I'm done with my internal assessment. So most of you are aware that everyone is aware actually that from this year, IB has changed mathematics, entirely changed. And one of the most significant change in the area in this area is new. IB Maths is completely revamped paper 3. So today we'll explore paper 3 of IBDPHL Maths course to a graded F. So what we'll do is we will, let me share my screen. Sorry, I forgot to share my screen. Sorry, one moment. Yeah. John, can you see my screen?
Yes, perfect.
Lovely, wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, so I have taken May 21 MAA paper 3, which have like 2 weeks back, there was a paper 3. So we will solve this paper and we will see what are the important components, important things we need to know to solve the question like paper 3 comfortably, and how TI Nspire can be an added advantage when we solve paper 3. So let's discuss little about paper 3. What is paper 3? What are the expectations from paper 3? So that we can, when we approach to paper 3, we are in a good position to understand what are the expectations and we can solve it in a more effective way. So the subject guide clearly states that paper 3 in IB diploma higher maths paper, the subject guide clearly states that the paper 3 exam consists of 2 compulsory extended response problem solving questions. It is from the subject guide, which says 2 compulsory extended response problem solving questions. So actually, what are we looking here? It means the stated objective of the paper is to assess a student's problem solving skills only, or do we need to assess any other skills? Because it clearly says problem solving questions. So when it comes to this paper, it usually has 2 questions, and the marks range between 23 to 32. In one of the webinars, someone mentioned that out of those 2 questions, one will be investigation, one will be modeling. That is not the case. They both can be on modeling, they both can be on investigation. The bottom line is they are problem solving questions. 55 marks, 60 minutes, and 20% weightage, we all know. So this question can be best thought of an extended closed problem. Now, those who do MYB, middle year program. So if you think of criterion B and criterion D as investigations and tasks, in my opinion, paper 3 is basically the extended version or extended form of those tasks only, where the curriculum expectation are from IBHL, but other things are more or less similar. So even in this one, the early part of the question will be accessible to all the students, and there will be a general, gradually the difficulty level will increase, general graduation of the difficulty level. Then the length of the question will allow for a more explanatory type of questions, and like in also these questions, either you include some unfamiliar mathematics or unfamiliar mathematics in unfamiliar settings. So
Jalaj,
all
I have
these
a question.
things. Yes,
Jalaj,
please.
I have a question. Since you brought up the parallel of MYP, and you said many in Bombay, at least, I think, I don't know, I can't speak for schools outside of Bombay, and our participants will probably let us know. Many schools are adopting IGCSE and 0607 International Math. What is your comment regarding that paper 6? I think of paper 6. Yeah. In comparison with that, what would you comment on that?
I would say like
as a preparatory.
Yeah.
As a preparatory.
Exactly. Paper 6 is good for the preparation, and so that they get idea of what investigation is and how it is carried out. So when it comes to the, in my opinion, again, when it comes to the subject matter in paper 6, then the depth is missing in IGCSE, International IGCSE paper 6. In when you compare it with like MYP criterion BD or paper 3 of IB diploma.
Oh, you're comparing with MYP with the 0607 paper 6.
Yeah, I'm comparing all. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But IGCSE, like International IGCSE paper 6, it is brilliant like that for the preparation to give the practice.
Okay.
So considering this, greater emphasis on inquiry approach rather than knowledge and understanding, and the technology. Use technology accurately, appropriately, and efficiently, both to explore new ideas and to solve problems. Right? So what are the skills expected to solve a paper 3 questions? Let's quickly finish this, then we'll move on to paper. If you're in MAA or in MAI, there are different expectations from paper. For MAA, you should be able to symmetrically search for a pattern in order to be able to generalize. So generalization skills, for example, using a list or tables, focusing on certain kind of number, types of numbers, etc. Investigation, then storing values to multiple. All this is from IB diploma subject guide. So you can read all these in detail there. So I just taken the headings. So, and for MAI, expectations are changing the parameters in a function and manipulation of matrices. If you see, the matrices are not there in MAA, but in MAI, you do lots of matrices. Choosing and using appropriate statistical tests, which is not expected in MAA. So we can assume that there won't be any statistics question in MAA paper 3. Use of list and list functions to manipulate data set. This is also not here in MAA. So if you closely look, compare and contrast, you will see that for each of these, for MAA and for MAI, expectations are different. But the use of graphic calculator is common in both, and using technology appropriately, correctly, effectively is common in both these. Moving on. Mathematical toolkit. I would like to quickly go through this also. So what exactly is mathematical toolkit? This is something new, which they have introduced from this year only. So mathematical toolkit is basically, we know that what are the expectations from paper 3 or say paper 1 and paper 2 in new IB diploma course. It needs to be more of like inquiry-based conceptual understanding, and it should focus more upon, I would say, something that can be recalled, let's say, after 20 years. So conceptual and inquiry-based learning. So to prepare our students for that, there is something called mathematical toolkit. And what exactly mathematical toolkit? During learning teaching process, we are supposed to use cognitive activators, conceptual understanding, use technology, use mathematical modeling, and proofs in mathematics. So basically, what are cognitive activators? These are the strategies used intentionally to get the attention of the students and to motivate them to explore new concepts at the beginning of new topic, and not necessarily at the beginning actually. Every time, whenever you see, like when the tempo of the class is going down, you can quickly do some quick activity with the help of cognitive activators and bring them back into the class. These activators connect previous learning to the new topics and review and introduce new skills. When it comes to conceptual understanding, this is something that they can recall after 20, 30 years also. If they remember, oh, I was in John's class in year 2001, and I remember he taught me this thing. He may not be able to solve questions, but if the child can recall the concept taught, that is a success for a teacher. So that is conceptual understanding. And using technology, students are encouraged to use technology, connect technological and mathematical worlds together and appreciate their advancement. Then in mathematical modeling and the proof. Proof is very interesting and very important. This helps in deepening the understanding of mathematical topics and enables students to get a lasting, long-lasting or everlasting understanding. And the most important thing is the students can understand the creation and validation of an area in mathematics. So it talks more about the process of generation of knowledge, how knowledge is generated rather than the end product. So we have been using these mathematical toolkit at some point of time in all our teaching, but now it is more organized. So with the help of this, let's move on to mathematics, MAAHL, May 21, paper 3, question number 1. So what I'll do is I'll share a link with you all in the chat. So instead of I show this paper to you on the screen, I think I can share the link so you all can open this in your machine. Oh, one moment. I'm putting it in the chat. And just see if you all can open this. Okay, so there is a question from Brijesh Singh. Is TA Nspire CAS CX2 CAS allowed in IB exam and AP calculus? I'm specifically asking CAS version. Yes, if it is CX2, CAS is allowed. In ordinary TA Nspire, CAS version was not allowed, but in CX2 CAS version, you have an option of turning off the CAS and the functions which are not permitted in the exam. So you are allowed to use this. So I think we can discuss this in detail. Yes, in older version, it was not allowed, but in the new version, it is very much allowed. So we can discuss this later. Let's move on to our agenda. So let me share my screen once more. Okay, sorry. Okay, can everyone open the paper? John, can you open could you open the paper, question paper?
Once I was actually typing the response to, yeah, I can open.
Oh, great. So we will be using 2-3 different tools. We'll be using our graphic calculator, and we will be using a board to solve the question. So let's start with the question. Okay, the question is, let me read out, everyone has in front of you. So first thing is, let's read the question paper and get
the link is shared. The link is shared in the chat. I'm just wondering whether you send it to, who did you send it to?
I just sent it to everyone, right?
No, I think you sent it to just Adi and the panelists. Let me just copy it.
Oh, okay, can you please share with everyone?
Yeah, sec. I hope I got the entire link. Just check everyone if you got the link. All right, cool.
Someone please drop a message that yes, you can open.
Yeah, they've said got it. Yeah.
Lovely. Okay, so this question is in this paper. First question. Most of the times, students do not read the information. I mean the instructions on top. Answer all questions in the answer booklet provided. Please start each question on a new page. Last time there was a discussion in one of these forums. Should they start each question in a new booklet in paper 3? No, it is not necessary that you start in a new booklet. You just have to start from a new page. Full marks are not necessarily awarded. This is the usual. Answer must be supported by working, all usual. Okay, this is a 27 marks question. This question asks you to explore the behavior and key features of cubic polynomial of the form x cube minus 3cx plus d. Consider the function this same function x cube minus 3cx plus 2, where x is a real number and c is a parameter. The graph of fx for c is equal to -1 and c is equal to 0 are shown in the following diagram. On separate axes, sketch the graph of fx showing the value of y-intercept and coordinates of any point with 0 gradient. Okay, so if you're using Nspire, share. Hold on, it's still opening. So if you're using Nspire, it's okay. So you open a new graph and fx. So what do we need to do here? Just write your function, and the function is x cube minus 3cx plus 2. So let c be c. Do not change c to anything, and you will see something wonderful here. So you have x cube minus 3cx minus 3. Now, when you write cx, then the calculator reads cx as one variable. So write c times x plus 2. Plus 2 is here, and enter. Once you enter, your calculator will ask, create slider for c, just say okay. So now values of c can be changed. So if you go back and look at your question, the question was on the separate axis, sketch the graph of y is equal to fx, showing the values of y-intercept and the coordinates of any point with 0 gradient for c is equal to 1 and c is equal to 2. So for c is equal to 1, you can see this is the graph. Just use the arrow keys here to change the values of c. This is c is equal to 0. If you see for c is equal to 0, the graph was given to you, which is here. And you scroll left again, c is equal to -1, -2. You can change these values of c. My range is from -5 to 5, which is the default range. But you can change it according to your investigation. If you like to investigate a bigger range of values, go ahead, you can change it. So I'm just using arrow keys here to see what is happening here. So it's always good to know what are you doing before you do anything. Okay, so this one you need to write down. So what we can do is we can in first part of the question, you just have to on the separate axis sketch this one. So you just have to sketch it. So let's sketch it. Let's try.
Is this feature of the slider that you use, the slider feature that you're showing us, all those of them who are not familiar with that feature, is that available on the Casio model?
It is available, but not this easy. You have to do like go via. And again, when you make small changes, you have to make so many different changes.
All right.
So that is why I have used Casio also. I mean CX50, but I'm not happy with the approaching slider function in this one.
Okay.
Okay. So it can do it. Is a I'm not saying it is like a bad calculator, but there's something which are so friendly, so effective, and you can do it quickly. You can visualize everything quickly in Nspire. So I'll always go with Nspire. Okay, so looking at the once again, just look at this one. We need to draw for c is equal to 1 and for c is equal to 2. So you can do it for c is equal to 1 first. So for c is equal to 1, how will this look like? Remember that in the question you were asked to find two things here. Number one is showing the value of y-intercept and the coordinates of any point with zero gradient. So any point with the zero gradient, I could see in the graph it looks like this, then it goes down this way. So this point was, you can just find with the calculator within no time. So how to find that this point has zero gradient, that is the turning point, and this point is 1, 0. But at times, if it is 1.1, 1.2, so make sure that you are taking the right point. So go to menu, analyze graph, take the minimum with your minimum between these 2 points and enter.
No, you're not sharing this calculator right now. You can only see the graph that you've sketched. So if you're saying anything by explaining with respect to the calculator screen, that's not shared right now.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. That's all right.
Okay, can you see now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I did something. Now you can see 1, 0 point, 1, 0. I did something, but I want to roll back, go back. So what I'll do is Control Z. What we do in any computer, Control Z, and it will go back. See, it's gone. This was a thing for C is equal to 2. So I'm going to C is equal to 1. I would like to find what is this point and what is this point. So go to menu, analyze the graph, find minimum, and where is your minimum between these 2 points? Because sometimes there are more than one point which are giving you minimum, local maximum. So you have to command your machine that, okay, I'm looking for this minimum, please execute. So this point is 1, 0. Now you're looking at this turning point. So the same thing, same process. Go to analyze graph. This time it's maximum between these 2 points. One is here and one is here. And why is it? Yeah, it's showing here 1, -1, 4. And you can always move your point from one place to another place. Right? So this much you can draw in your answer script. It's very easy. And this is your y coordinate. Y coordinate is when x is equal to 0. So you can see from here when x is equal to 0, y is equal to 2. So in this part of the question, you will just draw this graph, or not draw, actually sketch the graph. Drawing has to be point to point, but you're going to sketch it, showing the important points. It is not asked, but you can always, mark this point. And later, if you do any manipulation here, any change, then what happens? This is always important. So you can mark this point also. How to do this? This is like, again, go to analyze graph,
0.
and it is the 0 of this polynomial. So where you 0, you may have more than 1. So you're interested in this -2. Now, why I'm saying that you can mark it right from beginning. Now, let's go back to C. When you change the value of C, then see what happens to all these points. Do you see these points are also changing? So when you change the value of C, and this much of work, you don't need to again and again. You do just once, and that's all. So for C is equal to 1, if you go back to the question where he was asking for 1 and 2. So for C is equal to 1 and for C is equal to 2. So these are the ones, and you can have a look at this. Just click, pinch it, and you can move your graph. And so these two you need to show in your answer script. So this question was worth how many marks? 3 marks and 3 marks. So most likely when the answer scheme comes, it is going to be the sketching. Correct sketching is 1 mark. These turning points 1 mark, and correctly marked y-intercept is 1 mark. So whenever you teach I do this, and I find it very, very effective. Whenever I teach in my class, after solving a question, I always discuss with my students. I ask them to give the weightage of each part, then we discuss. And initially, we do lots of discussion, and slowly towards the end of a term or end of a month, everyone is so comfortable with the mark scheme. They know the expectation from examination. Okay, moving on. Write down the expression for f prime x. F prime x, or sometimes some people we call it f dash x. That's fine. This is first derivative of f. So the first derivative of f is fx is here, x cube minus 3cx. So when you find the first derivative of x, so this question has a point of inflection, 0 gradient. Okay, so let's go and have a look at the board again. So we will do some of this in, first we'll find f dash x, f prime x. So I suggest, why don't you also draw f prime x and see how it looks. So in F2, what you can do is you can just go to shift minus, you can just write dy upon dx of f1x. f1, and here is your x. Where is x? X is here, f1x. So your calculator will draw derivative of this function here.
So even without a definite value of c, because you given the slide, it reads for that value. So now if you change the slider, even that the F2 or the derivative will also change the graph.
So when we change the slider now, what happens? You see. You see the derivative is also changing. And later, in later part, we may use it. I'm not saying that we will be using it, but in the later part, we may use it. And another feature is like in this Windows or Zoom, you can just go to Zoom box and just can select with the part which you're interested in. I'm interested in this part. So I zoomed in, and this part I'm interested
how to change
in.
this slider beyond.
Right.
Okay. Someone asked a question, Brijesh asked the question, how can you change the slider settings? If you can show the slider settings. However, when Jalaj is about to show the changing, someone commented that these features are available on online software like Desmos. Absolutely, we need to explore freely available software in classroom experiences. However, when this tool has this thing, and it's not to say that it is not possible. Like Jalaj said, it's not possible on the Casio. I don't know how it is to be done. If we have time, maybe we can explore that, and maybe we can then come and see, how easy it is. I mean, Jalaj said that it is not probably as easy, but we can look at that feature also. I'm sure maybe some of our own participants who have used the Casio, maybe they've also used a slider. Maybe they can comment on that later on. But to answer that question of the Desmos, yes, it is possible. We are looking at it from an examination perspective, so don't get me wrong there. However, I think let's ask Brijesh's question.
Yeah. So Desmos and this autograph, GeoGebra, they all have these features. The thing is, this is something which is portable, you can carry with you, and remember, this is the only thing that you will use during the exam. So you should be more Now, in any computer, in any machine related with computing, right click is the solution of everything. So out here, just right click on the slider. Do you see this setting? This is your setting. Your variable is C, value is 1, minimum is -5. If you want to make it -20, you can make it -20. Maximum is +20. Now the step size is when you move from one value of C to another value of C, what is your step size? You can either keep automatic or you can enter your value. I would like to enter 0.000005. So it will go this slow. And you can move down and you can have other setting. Display digit is float 3 significant figures, and so on and so forth. I am not saving it. Another thing is in the setting, if you, you can animate it. You can animate, you can minimize. If you're not happy, you don't want to see it in your screen, minimize, move, setting, and so on and so forth. If you want to move it somewhere else, you can move it in this corner. If you're using this part of your screen, move it to that corner. So the more you use, better you get, more you enjoy. Like I saw one of the comments was like somebody has been using Casio and they are comfortable. It is easy to use, right? What was there? Easy to use. So basically, it is more of friendly, user friendly.
I don't steal my thunder. I'm coming to that later. You can keep your point later. I was going to talk about user friendly later on. Okay, so I'll come to you. I'm not saying you should, but we'll talk about that word later on. I want to address that word.
Exactly. So somebody said that they have been using Casio, so they don't want to change. So later John will discuss on this. The thing is, more you use, better you get. And better you get, more you enjoy. Okay, moving on. So next question was write down an expression for f prime. John, one thing, what do you see on my screen? The paper,
I'm seeing the question. Yeah, I'm seeing the question paper, yeah.
Lovely. Hence, otherwise find the set of values of C. Now, next part is 1, 2, and 1. Total 4 marks. Okay, so we don't have to spend too much of time here. Hence, or otherwise find the set of values of C such that graph of y is equal to fx has a point of inflection with 0 gradient, 1 local maximum and 1 local minimum, and no point where the gradient is equal to 0. So before we get down to paper, what we can do is we can look at this. Now, the f prime, we do not need now. At this point, we don't need, so you can just uncheck it from here and it will disappear. Now, for different values of C, first part of the question is, we would like to know a point of inflection with 0 gradient. Means we are looking at a stationary point of inflection. So just play with your slider and see what happens. Do you see when C is equal to 0, what is happening here?
Yeah.
We get a parallel line here, a flat line parallel to x-axis. So it is the point, it is the value of C where you get a stationary point of inflection. Now, if this question comes in the exam, we can't, if you just write C is equal to 0, probably mark scheme will let you get 1 mark. But if you just quickly sketch the graph, which is in your calculator, just sketch the graph and you can say using GDC, C is equal to 0 with reference to the diagram. That's all. So
in fact, that is a requirement. That is a requirement. Even in they say that in the instructions that like even if they're finding the root, because see, calculators are allowed, right, for paper 2 and for paper 3. So you don't have to show working. Like we think of working as the algebraic working. But even if you just do a sketch, because that is precisely when Jalaj goes on, I'll find out from an IB paper that instruction, and I can show to you later on that they say that, for example, if the calculator was used to find the root of whatever, that it's allowed, even if they have made a sketch, that is counted as working. So working does not mean it has to be an algebraic steps. It could even be just a sketch, and that'll work. Go on, Jalaj.
Yeah. So you need to show that, but this is just 1 mark question. So sometimes in the exam, just say A1. The moment you see C is equal to 0, you're done. Now 1 local maximum and 1 local minimum point. So just see again, at C is equal to 1, this is happening. Sorry, see, at C is equal to 0, there was 1 stationary point of inflection. When you move to C is equal to 1, if C is equal to 1, you see that there is 1 maximum and 1 minimum. So should we say C is equal to 1? Even for C is equal to 2, you get 1 maximum, 1 minimum. At C is equal to 3. So you get for everything, all these values. So let's try take a value, maybe 1.00001. C is equal to this much. So I can see there is a slight change here. If I take 1.5, I can see, yes, there are 2. It means it is most likely that any value which is more than 0, any value that is more than 0 will give you a maximum and a minimum. So this you can do manually and check how to do that. To have two turning points, you can differentiate x cube minus 3cx plus c. So the derivative will be, let me show it to you on the board. Let me stop sharing and share again on the board. Where is my board? Here. Okay. So the equation out here is 3x cube. I'm just doing it at random places. So now minus 3cx plus 2 is, this was your fx. So f prime, that is the derivative, will be, is it, oh sorry, it's not 3x cubed, this is just x cubed. So this gives you 3x squared minus 3c. That is the derivative. At maximum or minimum, it should be 0. So x squared is equal to c. Right? Now, the question is find the value of c so that you have one local maximum and one local minimum. So it means this value of c must exist. Right? It means c is a real number. When c is a real number and when you square a real number, it should exist. So c is the square root of c. So the condition with c is c should be more than 0. Simple. Okay, so this is a 2 marks question, so we don't have to think much on this. So c is more than 0. When c is more than 0, you will have one minimum and one maximum. And there is no point, part C is when there is no point when the gradient is 0. So when there is no point when the gradient is 0, how will this look like? So again, check here. When you go less than 0, do you see what happens here?
Mm-hmm.
So this you can, where the gradient is 0, there is no point. Either you can look at this graph, or what you can do is you can again look at the board. There is no point. It may where gradient is 0. So if you force put gradient equal to 0, then what happens to this equation? It won't have real roots, right? In that case, the value of c, square root of c. So c must be negative, right? So for all values of c which are less than 0, what do you get? There is no point where the gradient is equal to 0. No point. So that happens when c is less than 0. Moving on. Okay. Any questions so far? Anyone?
There's someone, Neelu had raised her hand. I just will check on the chat. Neelu, did you have a question? You can just put it in the chat. Anyone who has a question, just put it on the chat, and then we can get back to you either directly or wait whenever there's a gap or a shift. Did you have a question,
Yes.
Neelu? You can just put it on.
Okay. While we
on.
carry on, you can put your questions there. Part D, given that the graph of y is equal to fx has one local maximum point and one local minimum point. So this has been given. Then part D, that fx has one local maximum and one local minimum. So if you go back, can you see am I sharing my screen?
No, you're not sharing. No. You're not sharing the screen right now. No.
Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Lovely.
Yes.
Okay, so given that graph has one local maximum and one local minimum. So going back to part C. In part C, so part 2, one local maximum and one local minimum. And when did this happen? This happened when C was more than 0. Okay, so given that this has one local maximum and one local minimum, show that the y coordinate of local maximum point is this and y coordinate of local minimum point is this. So once again, we are looking at the y coordinate of local maximum and local minimum. So what should we do here? At maximum or minimum, let me show it to you on the board, then we'll see it in the calculator. So You have one maximum, one minimum. So x squared is equal to c. We'll just, sorry, it's so messy, but I think
I was going to comment on that, but later on maybe I'll talk about.
Yeah, it's typical class board.
Yeah.
So you have to follow like what is being done. If you feel okay, we'll have a look at this later. It's like a puzzle. Okay, so x is equal to plus minus square root of c. So there are 2 points. One is when x is equal to square root of c, and one when x is negative square root of c. So going back to your main function, x cubed minus 3cx plus 12, when x is equal to square root of c, what is the y value here? Y value will be c raised to the power of 3 by 2 minus 3 times cx. Okay, so y will be 2 minus 2c raised to the power of 3 by 2. Someone please check. If it is wrong, let me know. I'll correct. I think it's fine. Yeah, it seems okay. It looks okay. And when x is equal to negative, so first one will be negative, second will be positive. So y value will be 2 plus 2c raised to the power of 3 by 2. Now, which one is maximum, which one is minimum, we don't know. So what we can do is we can differentiate this once more. So what is f second derivative? F prime will be 6x, that's all. Okay, so when x is negative, second derivative is negative, so you get maximum. And when x is positive, then second derivative is positive, so you get minimum. Right? So in that case, this will be the y coordinate for maximum, and this will be the y coordinate for minimum. Of course, you will be doing it in your this thing. When you do this in your exam script, in the examination, you will be doing it step by step, nicely, with good handwriting, as good as possible. Don't use Tipex. It's not allowed. Whiteners are not allowed in the IB exam. But otherwise, be as good as you can during the exam when it comes to the presentation. Okay, moving on. Next part of the question. Okay, so here we need to show. So answer is already given. Do you see that first part is 3 marks, second part is just 1 mark? Because most of the work is being done in part 1 of D1. You've done most of it. So and it's already given that there is 1 maximum and 1 minimum. So you don't need to check again. You can take this as a statement which has been given to you. So you just have to state, since this is the maximum, hence this is the minimum, and done. Part E. Here, for c is more than 0, find the set of values of c such that graph of y is equal to fx has exactly 1 axis intercept, exactly 2, and exactly 3. So let's go back and see what calculator has to offer in this one. Okay, let's read the question once again. C is more than 0. So find the values of C such that graph of this has exactly 1 x-intercept, 2 x-intercept, or 3 x-intercept.
3.
Lovely. Exactly 3. Okay, so this one x is more than 0. So when we are at 0, there is 1 intercept. Okay, when we move, then there are 2 intercepts.
2.
Now we have 3 x-intercepts. Right? So 1, 2. 2 intercept means there has to be 1 tangent because it's the cubic equation. So you have repeated roots and a root, another root. So at c is equal to 1, you can see through your calculator, but remember you need to show your working because these are 2 marks each. So what is expected here? In the graph of fx, it has exactly 1 x-intercept, exactly 2 x-intercepts. So anyone would like to comment How will you start?
Is it? I just have a query. Does it say exactly one value of C, or because the question says set of values of C? So I'm just curious because I didn't see the graph properly.
No. Set of values.
Yeah. So.
See, the graphic calculator out here is giving you an idea, like when it is 0.
It's giving the limits. Yeah, it's giving the limits. Yeah.
When it is 1, when it is 2, but there are infinite number of values between these two.
Between those two,
right?
Yeah.
So anyone would like to write your views in the chat box? How will you approach this question? For C is more than 0, means we are not looking at, C is more than 0. More than 0 means we are looking at two roots here. Okay, at 0, there is only 1. I mean, C is more than 0 means 1 maximum and 1 minimum we are looking at. Okay, so the question says, hence for C is 0, find the set of values such that this has exactly 1 x-intercept, exactly 2 x-intercept, and exactly 3 x-intercept. Please feel free to drop in the chat your views. What do you think?
The domain of 0 to 1, we have one root. Exactly one root.
That's and remember one more thing. All these are related. So let me give you a hint. D and E are very closely related. Let's investigate this again in the calculator. When you look at one root, I mean, 1 x-intercept, 2 x-intercept, 3 x-intercept, what is happening? Which point is moving actually? If you look at this point is actually making the difference, right? Out here, when this point is up, it is not coming down to intercept. When it is on the x-axis, it touches at one point. If it is below the x-axis, when this point goes below the x-axis, what is happening? We have 3 points on the x-axis. Are you with me? So let's label this point as, I can label this point as A. Okay, now just look at point A. Point A is here. I don't want this one, so I can delete this. Now look at point A. When point A is above the x-axis, then what is happening? You have one x-intercept. When point A moves on the x-axis, you have 2 points. And when the point A goes below the x-axis, what do you have? 3 x-intercepts. Now let's look at this once again. Exactly 1 x-intercept. So what should happen here? The minimum point, this is actually your turning point, which is the minimum point, isn't it?
Yeah.
So when the minimum point is above the x-axis, you have 1 x-intercept, and minimum point is above the x-axis, means the minimum value is positive. Are you with me? Moving on. The minimum value is 0. Further, the minimum value is negative. Okay, so I did this. So when you do positive, I solved this here. So for x-intercept, minimum point should be above the x-axis. So from the previous part, we found that minimum value, which was 2 minus 2c raised to the power of 3 by 2, that has to be more than 0. So c will be less than 1. In this case, shall I do this on the board, John?
Yeah. Go ahead. It's right now. It's only the question right now.
Okay. So what we can do is we can. I can see there are some comments. If you could check, please, John.
Yeah. I'm checking actually. Yeah, someone just said when the local minimum is positive. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let me clear everything. Clear all drawing. So in this case, part A. When it says that there is 1 x-intercept, so the local minimum, excellent, whoever said it, 2 minus 2c raised to the power of 3 by 2 should be more than 0. So 2c raised to the power of 3 by 2 goes the other side, so less than 2. So c raised to the power of 3 by 2 is less than 1. So c is less than 1. Now, if you see in the question, it was given that for c more than 0. Okay, so if you write your answer c less than 1, probably mark scheme will have this. If you write only c less than 1, you will lose your final mark. So it has to be c should be between 0 and 1. Part A. Now in part B, second part, it says exactly 2 axial intercepts. So the minimum point should be on the x-axis. So in this case, this thing will be 0. When this thing is equal to 0, you will get c is equal to 1. And then the third question, when it says exactly 3, then your turning point has to go below x-axis. In that case, what happens? When it goes below x-axis, then the minimum value, which is 2 minus 2c raised to the power of 3 by 2, should go below x-axis, so less than 0. So c should be more than 1. This was part E. Any question before we continue?
No.
Lovely. Okay, let's move on. And let me continue sharing my screen. Last question is very, very interesting. Very interesting. Consider the function gx is equal to x cubed minus 3cx plus d for x belongs to R, where c and d both are real numbers. I was expecting some of these to be integers, but they're just real. Find all conditions on c and d such that the graph of y is equal to gx has exactly one x-axis intercept. Explain your reasoning. And this is 6 marks. I like 6 marks questions. Because when you mark a 6-mark question, you don't have to change from A1 to A2, just mark 6, then make a change. So it's convenient. Okay, so let's go to the graph. I think I can, shall I delete my graph here? No need to do this here. So what I can do is,
I can edit it.
Yeah,
just change
I'll just edit this one. Now I can have 2 parameters. Minus 3cx, we have the same question, right? I mean, same equation, x cubed minus 3cx, only the d part, 2 has changed to d. And when I enter, I'll be asked, shall we create slider for d? Please go ahead. So it's done. So I have 2 sliders. You see, one is here. I can change the values of c from that slider, and I can change value of d from the slider. Now, when we look at this equation once again, what do you think? What is the role of d here? What will d do? If we change d, what will happen to the graph?
It should affect the y-intercept, right? I mean, you're talking about
that's all.
The vertical shift. Yeah.
Exactly. It translates.
Yeah.
That's all. It is nothing else. It only translates from up, down, down, up, right? So C is something which is really, really important. It does all sort of other translations, transformations, I mean dilation and all those stuffs. So let's go back here. So let's examine D first. What happens with D? Nothing much actually. We're just moving up, 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 moving down, down, down. So while in the exam room, you can do this much. It takes 7-8 seconds. Then look at the C. When the value of C changes, we are getting something similar kind of changes which were happening from part A, B, C, part A to E, right? So now how should we connect? How should we put these two together so that we can find relation between C and D? What are the conditions? If I read the question again, for all, find all conditions on C and D such that this graph has exactly one axis intercept, explaining your reasoning. So I'm sure there will be some R marks involved here too. So find all the conditions on C and D. So if you see, for C, we had different conditions. One was when C was less than 0. When C is negative, then what happens? I'm referring to the previous parts, right?
Question,
Previous question. When C is less than 0. When C is less than 0, and when you make a change in D, then what happens? Actually, there is no turning point when C is 0 or less than 0, actually. Even if it is 0 or less than 0, there is no turning point. So even when you move this graph up, down, wherever, there will be only one point of intersection with x-axis.
1 point,
Just 1 point. So D will not make any difference here. So our condition could be, we can say that condition is, in this case, C is less than equal to 0 and D belongs to R, any real number. Right? Second case, when C is more than 1. Sorry, when C is more than 0.
Okay.
When C is more than 0, then what happens? Remember, we are looking at 1 point of intersection with x-axis, right? Only one x-intercept.
Yeah.
So this point is again very, very important. Point A. This point is very important. You see, in this case, in this situation, which you see on your screen, there is only one x-intercept. But what happens when you change the value of D?
Yeah, when it goes below 1.
Right?
Yeah.
So till this point,
D equal to.
The moment it touches x-axis, you have to. So when we look at 1 point of intersection, either your minimum point is above the x-axis. Can we say it?
Yeah.
Or what is the other condition? Anyone?
Should the value of D should be less than 2?
Either value of D should be less than 2. Okay. Now,
someone has said maximum less than below x-axis. Someone said that.
Wonderful, wonderful. So either the minimum is above the x-axis, or what should happen? The maximum should come below the x-axis.
Below the x-axis, yeah.
Right? So if it comes below the x-axis, you have 1 point of intersection. And this is the area where we have more than 1 till this point, and this onwards again more than 1. So again, you remember we found the minimum and maximum point in which part? We found here, this one, part D, 1 and 2. So this is the y coordinate of local maximum, and this is the y coordinate of local minimum. In the previous equation, this is 2, and in the new equation, this is D, isn't it? That is the only difference. This is D, so the local maximum, so 2c raised to the power of 3 by 2 plus 2 should be less than 0, or the local minimum, this should be more than 0. So your answer to this question will be D. D is less than, I solved it here. Later, I'll share this also with you all.
Okay.
So D is less than -2 c raised to the power of 3 by 2. So this will be, we can use another great function of calculator. Out here, I can put some notes. So this is, D is less than -2 c, I can put a bracket here, c raised to the power of 3 by 2. So I can write 1.5 here. This is the condition when C is more than 0, this is 1, or this will, D is more than 2 times a bracket C raised to the power of 3.2, 3 by 2, that is 1.5. So these are 2 answers. Hopefully these are correct answers. So when the mark scheme is released, we'll come to know whether I passed or failed. So this is how we can solve a paper 3 question comfortably and effectively, confidently in the exam. Because the thing is, when you're working with your paper, with your answer script, you have someone to back you up. Yes, saying you that yes, you're doing the right thing. You have anything that you're doing, you can cross-check with your calculator. So it gives you more confidence. You write all the steps, you do everything very, very quickly. You save time. When you save time, you have more time for another question, or if you save time in both the question, you have more time for the revision. You can go through it and you can get a 7. So I think this is how we solve paper number 2. I'll stop here for a while. Over to John. And if you have any question meanwhile, you're most welcome to put in your chat box, and we'll try to address this as soon as possible.
Yeah, you can put your questions, your suggestions, your comments on the chat. And meanwhile, I just want to show this thing that Jill was just referring to, that, this is actually in the paper 2, but you'll see the similar instructions given that, answers must be supported by working and or explanations.
Exactly.
And the way they define, because we might think working is something, and like I said, it need not just be algebraic working, because many times we think that working means they're referring to an algebraic working, and it says in particular, solutions found from a graphing display GDC should be supported by suitable working. And again, what do they define working as? For example, the example of the working, if graphs are used to find a solution, you should sketch these as part of your answer. So that sketching of the graph is also considered as working, is what I was saying. That need not just be an algebraic thing. You can even use the sketch of the graph if you're using that at the exam, and that will also be considered as working. Any comments about whatever we've discussed so far? You can put it on the chat, and I will then, what do I have here? I will quickly share, we can take a couple of minutes for questions here. For those of us here, Nilu, okay, what is this? Okay, this is where we were at. If you all know, our program for the day was about, I mentioned this as a question, and I said, perhaps, is it loading? Something is not sharing. Okay, did I hit the wrong key? Maybe I hit the wrong key. I should not have done that. Okay, how do I get rid of this? Okay, there you go. This is what I was supposed to have done. There is a question, I believe, on the chat, or maybe something is written, something. Very good, Jalis sir. Yeah, thank you. Jalis, they said that's very good. So here we go. I said Jalis' part was about, perhaps there are some of us who are not aware of the features, and Jalis has shared one very, very important feature. It's the slider, how easily it can be used even in a paper 3 kind of question. Speaking of sliders, I recently used it in an IGCSE 0607 class just to investigate the transformations of functions, a sine bx minus c plus d. So even those places you can put the sliders and allow kids to work around the sliders and come to that. So here comes my second part, that there are members of our participants today who are aware of these features, but there are other reasons to consider. And one other thing, of course, is the user-friendly. And I stopped Jalaj at that point in time. At this point in time, Jalaj can say, but here's the thing, I want us to be very, very careful. All right. And when I say careful, I said, be honest. We say user-friendly. And while we have that notion, these are the 2 reasons I've got from many people. I think even Revati has been talking to many people, has said that many people, when most of the teachers, educators, when they're talking about their hesitation switching to TI technology is because one of those 2 reasons. Yes, we are happy. Yes, we know that TI has got these features, but we find this user friendly. And the other thing is the cost factor. I thought, for the remainder of our discussion today, we'll focus on this, and let's be honest on that. But while I'm saying let's be honest on that, let's just let's just really look at that word user-friendly from a technical perspective. So what I did was I actually went to a website called Tech Terms, and I'll show you that website in a second, okay? Because, you know, what is user-friendly for Jalaj will not be user-friendly for me. What is user-friendly for Revati might not be user-friendly for me. But let's go, because it's a technical term, you know, and apparently in the Tech Terms website, they say user-friendly describes a hardware or software interface. And there are 4 things that they've identified as being simple, being clean, being intuitive, and reliable. These are some things that Tech Terms has come up with. And I saw that right at the beginning, you know, some people are saying, and they said something about the keys. So I'd like to hear something more when someone said about the keys being soft keys. Now that's a preferential thing. I don't know whether that comes in as a user-friendly. That's why I had to show you what comes in the thing as user-friendly. That's a preference. Some people like the softness of that thing. That's fine. To be honest, sometimes if the keys are too soft, accidentally certain wrong keys might get pressed. Now that's, you know, I mean, it can be a pro or a con. It is good to have those kind of soft touch keys, but sometimes I feel, I don't know, I mean, you might disagree with me on that. The same softness, the same thing that is good, you know, a good feeling can, in terms when at exam time, you meant to have pressed this thing, sometimes it does not press, and sometimes it presses 2 times. So, or more than what you intended to. So I don't think that is user-friendly. Here's how I'll explain user-friendly from a TI perspective, okay? Bear with me, and then I'm willing to hear from you guys. When I use the Casio, and this is my personal thing, when I use the Casio, I was told to remember functions. I was told to remember that, oh, you know, there are certain shortcuts, okay? First press F1, then F2, and certain shortcuts, you know, there was something that I had to remember. And for me, if I have to remember something, then it is not being intuitive. As opposed to, let me show you something about the TI, because, you know, there are very few of us who are TI users here. Jalaj, since your calculators, is it already open? Can you just share your screen, please?
Yes, sure.
Just the calculator screen.
Yeah, one moment.
It'll take some time for my calculator to fire up. Yeah, so that's Jalaj's screen. Okay, can you go to the graph screen, please?
Sure. Let me close everything here.
All right. Open any window.
New.
Now here's, and add another page, add a calculator page, add a, 2-3 different pages. Now here's what I have told my students, you know, whenever I teach, I say that, you know, everything on the TI Nspire is menu driven. So I, in fact, tell my students, menu is like a lighthouse. If you're lost, just go to the menu. So Jalaj is going to just demonstrate to us, okay? Jalaj, just hit menu on your, let's say on your calculator page, you're on a calculator page, just go to menu.
Oh, this is my calculator.
Yeah. Just go to just hit menu.
So when I go to...
Yeah. I think
calculator.
This is the geometry page that you have right now. Okay, that's the calculator page. And as you can see, the menu items are written with words. And when something is written with words, you can't go wrong. And you don't have to remember. 2 things. You can't go wrong. You don't have to remember. So let's say you're on a calculator page, and suppose you wanted to do something on probability. You wanted to find, you know, a probability distribution. So you go on the menu and you go on the word which says probability. And when you go on the word which says probability, and you know that you want to do something with distributions, so you go to the word which says distribution. And when you go to that word which says distribution, you can choose which one you want to do, whether you want to do normal PDF or normal CDF. And for me, that is being very user-friendly. And even if I have not taught my children another page, you know, I have told my children that menu is like the lighthouse. So, you know, if they're on the graph page, so Jalaj, can you just shift to the graph page while I'm saying that? If you're on the graph page and if they're stuck there, you know, they'll remember, oh, Mr. Pollard said that, you know, menu is like the lighthouse. So they'll be on the graph page and they'll go to the menu there, go on the menu. And everything related to the graph page is a different set of menu pertaining to that particular page. And, you know, let's say he wants to trace the graph. He wants to, you know, it's written in words. All I'm saying is that it's written in words, and words, they're not double meaning, no? It's just that one word, right? If you want to go to analyze graph, you can just scroll down and go to analyze graph. Oh, to find the minimum, there's an option there. There's an option to find the maximum. These are menus driven by words. And for a person who's used the TI, when the menu is driven by words as opposed to me having to remember those shortcuts, F1 for a certain function is part of another chain of commands. But F1, if I have to remember, then I have to press F3 for something else. When I have to remember commands, that actually is not being simple. I'm talking with the definition of user-friendly from the tech terms. That is not even being intuitive. That is remembering. I'm open to comments, okay, because we have a majority of Casio users here. Because we spoke about user-friendly, and I thought, I will use the definition from a technical library, and I thought, let me explain this one thing about what actually is user-friendly. Whether it is actually driven by words, which can't go wrong. They're not two words. Each word points to one particular object, as opposed to a key like a shortcut key, which has got more than one role. Sometimes to do something, you have to press F1, then F2, and there's a chain of commands that I've got to remember, and I really don't know which one is friendly in that case. And I want you to think about it honestly. All right. Any questions on that, or any comments before we meet to the second one? Okay, and the second one was on the cost factor. And here I will say to everyone, yes, you are absolutely right. The TI Nspire is marked up, meaning it is more expensive than the Casio. You're right about that. But here's my explanation. I'm not giving any, here's my explanation, okay? So bear with me in these next two slides. I'm also trying to look at the time because I don't want to overshoot. But I'm going to share a PPT, which I got from a webinar from TI Australia. It's not mine. It is actually from TI Australia. And I'm going to share this slide. Give me a sec, all right? So share screen and my PowerPoint. Here we go. And I'm going to just play from the current slide. And Jalis, tell me what you think of this, okay? This is an actual comparison. This is an actual comparison, head-on comparison. And I'm trying to answer the question, why do you think, or why is the TI Nspire CX2 or the TI more expensive, okay? Just look through these things and then we'll talk about the prices, okay? The specifications. This is the Casio versus the TI. And like I said, this presentation was part of a webinar done by TI Australia. And so here we go. Ready for this? The processor speed in both the calculators. The numbers are there for us to see and to take a look at that, okay? Jalaj, you have to mute yourself. This is for my participants.
Sorry.
But no. That's the processor speed. Then we look at the RAM. Okay. And apparently they say that the CG50 in Australia is 4.5 MB RAM. Okay. You can see the asterisk there. And you can see the comparison, just head-on comparison on specifications. Then let's look at the screen resolution. And Jalaj had pointed out in the last webinar that we had done about the batteries that in the TI Nspire, the batteries are rechargeable batteries, and in the Casio, you have to buy the batteries every time it. And I know that's that's a different expense, but the technology behind a rechargeable battery is obviously going to be expensive, no? If you're going to have a system that allows for rechargeable battery, if you're going to have a processor speed, that is, I don't know how many times, but if you're going to have that kind of a processor speed, it is going to be expensive. But whenever I have presented this slide to, some other workshops, they said, but I don't need it. I don't need this processor speed. So here's my answer to that. We meet in these webinars as math teachers, and sometimes we think that this particular calculator, this particular GDC is only for mathematics. In the TI world, this was not just meant for mathematics. So if I continue this presentation, you'll know what I mean, all right? So actually, it's called this is just one part. This fits in to a TI family. So when this was built not just to calculate, not just to draw the graph, not just to do the sliders. Yes, it can do the slider, great. It can do the slider with ease and with intuitiveness. There's a chat, Jalaj, if you want to just take a look at what that is. I'm not able to see that when I know. Okay, somebody's written something to Adi. Okay, so I'm talking about this GDC was built to be part of another family, which if I just show you, which is part of this thing again, there are companion tools. And one of the tools I think Jalaj also mentioned in the last webinar is the software that comes along with this handle. Now, you all know when students buy the Casio, students are not given the software. Whether you're a student or a teacher, whoever buys the TI Nspire, you'll be given the software. That means this was built to function along with that software. Along, all right? Jalaj, I want you to clarify with me because you used the Casio software last time we had this webinar. Is it using along with it or is it apart? You know what I mean by along? I mean, when you connect it, you can use it along, right? Alongside the Casio software. In conjunction, you're muted. The Casio software.
Mm-hmm.
The Casio software.
What was the question?
The Casio teacher software, is it something that the teachers, is that the software that can be used alongside? That means what you're doing here appears there, what you're doing there appears here. Is it that way connected?
No.
Or
I never seen that happening.
Maybe our participants can enlighten us on that thing. But here's the thing. Teacher software in the Casio, I think the last time someone told us, I think maybe it was Jalaj who told us what the price was. It is a price that has to be paid every year. It has to be renewed. Whereas Revdi also reminded us that the software is included in that purchase that you buy. The same price that you buy, that you pay, the software is included. So when we say that the TI is expensive, the cross factor, please try and put it into this perspective that it was not just built to graph, there is also software, accompanying software for everybody, even the students. I actually tell the kids to use both together, all right, for their IAs, for their EEs, for their explorations in the classrooms. We use both of them together. So the companion tools are the software included. Then as a teacher and in schools, some other day we'll talk about the navigator system. Now, why am I talking about the navigator system right now? This tool was built and was designed to work along with that companion software, that navigator system, which means the technology is going to be a bit more expensive. All right. These are some other tools that can be used. Like I said, we always meet in terms of the mathematics teachers, but also this can be used for other subjects, other science subjects, because TI is big on STEM. And the same handheld can be used in conjunction with another tool called data logging tool. And Hassan and Revdi will talk about it later. It can be used with the Innovator. I think we've spoken about the Innovator. It can be used with the rover. You might have seen it on the video. What is the reason I'm saying all these things? When this was built, it was not just built as a calculator. When in the TI world, we in fact use the word handheld. Handheld is almost like, when you use a desktop computer, because it's on the desk, we call it a desktop. Because it's a portable computer, laptop which can be kept anywhere on the lap or anywhere, that's a laptop. Whereas this is almost like a computer. The keys, this Alt Save and Control Z, as Jalaj was saying, earlier on, using earlier on. It is a handheld computer, to put it in the simplest way. But because of these additional features and because it belongs to a larger TI family, which is how it was built, that is why I think the price is what it is marked at. So I hope that has answered the question of both user-friendly and the price factor. But now I want to hear from you all, and if there's anything that we can help to answer, Revdi and others will also be there. So time for questions.
Yeah, and one more thing, John, I would like to add, I mentioned last time, it is 1,800 per year. So if you see in the long run, Casio will be, I would say, I won't name Casio, but TI Nspire will be more economical and worth getting in the long run.
Yeah. One sec, Jalaj. I just wanted to comment on Brijesh's question. Brijesh says, but if you change the laptop, the software doesn't work. Actually, it should work. So it should. It's a perpetual software. So Revdi, if you want to answer that question, and she'll explain what needs to be done. So if there's a problem, they'll fix it for you. Review there?
Yes. You need to uninstall the software first in your old laptop, and then take a note of your license key and the password, everything what is given to you, and then you can reinstall it in your new laptop. In case if you are changing from Windows to Mac, then you can let us know. We could work out to help you out. You can, if you are seeing any error in that, you can let us know.
Cool. Yes, Jalaj, you were saying something. Sorry.
No, that's what I was saying. Because I changed my laptop and it was very smooth. I could do this. I could change the license, and it is very easy. Second thing is I just dropped a link here. This is a solution which we just did on the whiteboard. It's in my writing. If you can't understand anything, please get back to me. And soon they'll release a mark scheme. I think next week they'll release a mark scheme, so we can check also later.
Okay, it's questions time. Ladies and gentlemen, any questions, any thoughts, any comments that you heard from, then you want to open for suggestions here? Wow. Thank you, Magesh. All right, I'll hand it over to, can you share your contact mail ID? So, Jalaj, sir, your mail ID and your contact people want? Sure. Just put it on the chat. If not, then I'll hand it over to Revati. Thank you so much. Jalaj, once again, it was great partnering. And as you can see, everyone is just grateful for that session. Revati, back to you.
Thank you, John and Jalaj, for the interactive and wonderful session. I hope all the participants would have, taken some points that they were thinking in their mind, that user friendliness and other stuff, the pricing and all those things. Thank you, John, addressing all the queries, whatever I have shared with. Yes. There are a few more support services that we extend to the schools who are introducing TI for the first time to their schools. John is placed in Mumbai, so we can give training to the schools, Mumbai schools, especially for the Mumbai schools, every month for the students and teachers. That's the additional support service that we were thinking of after hearing so many queries from, especially from the schools from Mumbai. And then apart from this, as our regular practice, the schools which introduce TI for the first time, we give 3 trainings for the schools, one in the beginning, once the academic session starts, and second in the middle of the year, and one in the end of the year. Apart from this 3 exclusive training for the schools, we also conduct regular online workshops and training for the students, which starts from September till December and before Christmas. That's the time period we conducted last year, and we are planning to do it for this year as well. So students can directly, whoever purchased TI calculator, they can log in their information with us, and then they'll get the intimation directly, and they can join for the webinars. For teachers, again, whichever school that they want personalized, that is exclusive workshop only for the teachers having doubts to clarify it, exclusive for their schools alone, they can write to us. We have shown our email ID, so you can write either to educator support in numerical-analytics.com or for the technical support. Yes, and then for the warranty has point, we are giving 3 years of TI calculators carries 3 years of warranty. So students, whoever buy this calculator, the schools also get the warranty and will cover. So they can raise for the warranty for 3 years. This is one additional feature. So we also do the pickup and service for the schools. Students need not to courier it on their own. That's one additional thing which we are doing it for past 3-4 years. And price is concerned, as John mentioned, yes, of course, the price is not as equivalent as the other models, but definitely we are working out a better pricing for the school discount, school offer we are giving. So they also get a special guidebook that is, we have taken the IB math curriculum, IBDP, the new math curriculum we have taken, and we have solved the questions. We are giving a one free guidebook along with the calculators for all the students. Whoever purchases, they get one guidebook either through directly us or yeah, definitely only if they buy directly from us they get. If they go through Amazon, Flipkart, any other online, the guidebook will not be possible for them, but the schools can write to us. We will work out. Student software, yes, they get student software along with the calculator. Yes, Hassan is showing a picture where the students get this package. They'll find this student software license key inside the package. So they have to be careful when they open the package, and they can take a note of this license key and can install it in their laptop. So they get one student software as well as the calculator, whereas the other models, if you see, that's not the case. So this is one additional thing. The students get the software and the calculator for this pricing. That's it. Anything else? John, Jalaj?
No, we're good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you all. Yeah. Thank you so much, Hassan. Thank you. Stay safe.
Yes, everyone, please stay safe.
Yeah, we will keep you informed about the next webinar shortly, and we will send emails to all the teachers. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ranganathan.